Good evening. Thank you for viewing the Wisconsin Rapids League of Women Voters and the River Cities Community Access Media co-sponsored forum for the Wisconsin Rapids mayoral candidates, the candidates for the Wisconsin Rapids Common Council, and the Port Edwards School Board. Our first portion of the forum will feature the candidates for Wisconsin Rapids Mayor. They are Robert Nash and Zach Vruwink. We drew for order of speaking beforehand. Each candidate will have 2 minutes for an opening statement, 2 minutes for a closing statement, and 2 minutes to respond to questions from our studio audience and our viewers at home. Viewers at home, feel free to call in at 423-0441. Only questions pertaining to issues, not personalities, shall be asked. I want to remind you that the League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan organization, and we are very happy to bring you this forum. We will now start with Robert Nash with opening statement.
Thank you. I want to say thanks to the League of Women Voters for putting these forums on all the time. They're always quite interesting and sometimes entertaining. My name is Bob Nash. I'm running for mayor of Wisconsin Rapids. I served on the city council for 15 years. In 2014, I decided not to run for re-election. And people always ask me, you know, why don't you run for mayor? Why don't you run for mayor? And I never really had an interest. I thought after 15 years of serving on the council, I did my civic duty, and it started to get a little crazy there. And well, I walked away, and about 6 months ago, I started investigating a little bit about different things, the Tribune building and the buying of the property downtown and stuff. And I just decided I wanted to get back involved. I guess I wasn't ready to step away. And I could have ran for alderperson. My district is up, but I said no. I've discussed this with the mayor in past terms about the term limits, or the 2-year term, and I was always up the same time as the mayor. And obviously now I'm not up for anything, so I really didn't want to serve on the Common Council again. I wanted to be the mayor, so I took out papers, and here I am. Thank you.
Thank you. Zach Vruwink.
Well, good evening, everybody, and thanks to the League of Women Voters as well for hosting this forum, and those watching from home or here this evening. It's been a tremendous honor and a privilege to serve as the mayor of my hometown, the place that I grew up. I feel that when I ran for office the first time, I had a vision that after listening to the community, they really wanted an active mayor, somebody that took the position very seriously, put a lot of time and effort, and really was passionate about the future of the community. And I feel that in my time as mayor in office the last 4 years, that really have brought that to the table. And I feel that there are a number of initiatives underway that many of which were on the shelf prior to taking office. And taking office, we took them off the shelf and took a hard look at how can we bring prosperity and a lot more activity to the community. And I feel that my time in office has done that. For my time working with employers, many of those employers who are looking to grow in the community or looking to overcome challenges that they currently face in the community, whether it's finding financing to grow their business or finding employees. It's something that even as an employer that the city is, we've been challenged with in finding talent for certain positions. And so as mayor, I've really focused on trying to bring economic activity and economic development across the city, whether it's dealing with vacant and blighted property throughout the city, growing our downtown, or bringing business to the business parks that we have in our community. It's been a tremendous honor, and I feel that my time in office has set the pace and really laid the foundation for a lot of good things to come. I look forward to the questions this evening and look forward to sharing my positions. Thank you.
Thank you. That was Mayor Zach Vruwink and our challenger Robert Nash. Our first question will go to Zach Vruwink. What do you feel the city should do about its aquatic situation?
It's a great question. I think back not too long ago when I was a member of the youth in this community, and we were grappling with what it was that we were going to do with our aquatic situation. We knew that prior, when I was a child, we had 2 public pools in the city, and there were some others in the region. Bud Virginski was mayor at the time, and I actually voiced an opinion that actually the building we're standing in could be used when Walmart left for potentially an aquatic center. And many ideas were floated around like of the sort, and unfortunately we stand 15 years later, 16 years later from those discussions, and we don't have a concrete plan. We don't have an action plan in place up until I would say 2-3 years ago, when we fully understood that Mead Pool was not going to last much longer. And that reality came last year when the state came to the city and did its final closure inspection of the pool before the winter, and identified that we would have to make major changes in order to open the pool this year. And those major changes weren't just a couple tens of thousands of dollars. They were a couple $100,000. At that time, the city council and the public both said, we need a long-term fix, and at that time the YMCA also discussed their potential expansion in the city. And so we said, well, I think the first thing that we should do is, what do the public think? What do the people in this community think? Do they want to pay for an aquatic center, knowing that we're going to have to borrow to pay for a new facility, and that will come at the expense of an annual increase in property taxes over the term of those bonds. But then also understanding that there is opportunity maybe to do an outdoor facility on our own. And so we've done a lot of work in that area to look for a new site and to look for a new facility, and I think we're making progress. We're very close to getting the results back from our aquatic survey, which was a random survey of the community, and we should have a good understanding of what the community does think, and I think the city council is ready to hear those results, as we are as well as city staff, to make a recommendation to move forward in that situation.
Thank you. Robert Nash.
Thank you. I guess it was kind of a shock to me last fall when the council decided, or the city decided they weren't going to open the east side pool or the west side pool. I was on the council when the west side pool was shut down, and always, I don't know why we get these hotel motel tax funds that go to the Park and Rec Commission, and why we didn't build a fund to this. We did do some site work. We did a little tour one time, 4 or 5 different spots in the city. There was a group that was very vocal about an aquatic center, something like the one up in Weston. Up in Weston, they have a beautiful facility, and 5-6 miles away, there's another one. We're going to have nothing. Now, this is something I'm going to bring up again probably, but I don't understand the planning where we know the pool is deteriorating. It might be on its last leg, but now after we already know we're going to close it, why are we doing a study to find out what the people want? That should have been done 2 years ago or 3 years ago. I believe 5-6 years ago or 7 years ago when we did that little had that group, they said what we wanted, but it just got pushed away because we had a change in mayor, and it's sad because there's going to be no swimming for the kids and the families this year. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next question will go to Robert Nash first. Wages and benefits make up a significant part of the city budget. With state constraints on municipal budgets, how would you ensure continuation of municipal services at current levels?
Well, there's a lot of waste in the city budget. I don't care what anybody says. I have the last 3 budgets, 2014, 2015, 2016, and I've been looking at them. And I could find, what we need is a city administrator, okay, or a city manager. We don't need a mayor. We need a mayor, but we need a part-time mayor. But we're carrying $70,000 in our budget for an information technology person that hasn't been there for 3 years. Now, is that another $70,000 that we keep adding, or is that just carrying over? I don't know. The mayor's budget has increased. There's plenty of cut in the budget without affecting employees or services. And I don't have the time right now to go over everything. I plan on bringing that stuff out at a later date, whether I do some sort of thing down here or whatever. But we're not going to lose any services, and I'm not really worried. The only thing I'm worried about is if something happens to the paper mill, then we're really going to struggle. Thank you.
Thank you. Zach Verwink.
Well, I took office right after Act 10 was enacted, and of course that was the new environment for cities and villages, et cetera, to do business. And since that time, we've been forced to operate under what the state has told us we have to do, and that is a couple of situations where our budgets can only grow based on net new construction. We're incentivized to keep our expenses low and cannot grow our expenses a certain amount over every year. Wages and benefits account for nearly 60% of the city's budget, and that's $17 million on an annual basis. So when you talk about wanting to continue to provide services, but yet still be a competitive employer, whether it's provide a competitive health plan or provide wage increases, all of those things are challenged on an annual basis every time we have to put together a budget based or within state requirements. I'm proud that during the time I've been in office, we've provided wage increases on an annual basis to maintain cost of living adjustments for our employees. We have a very competitive health insurance plan, and I would say we're one of the best employers in the city, and for good reason. We're a very safe work environment. We're also there's a predictability, obviously, in government service and providing those services to the community. But as time goes on, and as Bob mentioned, with tax-based concerns and others, if this city doesn't grow, we're going to be faced with major challenges. And we all know, as the private sector knows, that health insurance increases have grown annually. And so we've had to do things to incentivize employees to make better health decisions related to their health plan. But I'm proud that we've been a real competitive employer, and I think a fair employer. But at the same time, recognizing there is a reality that the city also operates in, and so we need to make sure that we're paying attention and being careful about making sure that we don't that we're a fair employer and not overspending in other areas, so we can continue to meet our needs in our current service delivery.
Thank you. I want to remind our studio audience and our viewing audience that you may call questions in for our two candidates at 423-0441. Our next question goes to Zach Verwink first. What are your plans to keep the youth in the area, referring to high school and college graduates?
Thanks for the question. I would say not only are my plans, but my actions in the last 4 years in office. The first of which is we created a Mayor's Youth Council. And I heard long from members of the youth community that they didn't have a direct voice at the table. And so we put together a youth council of students from both area high schools, Lincoln and Assumption, both city high schools, to involve youth. And we have 30 youth now participating in various capacities. One issue that they're working on is the pool and giving us feedback about what they think the future should be with City Aquatics. But not only that, they're also meaningfully involved in projects and making our city a better place. When we first assembled that group of youth, I was very blown away by their positive attitude in speaking about the future of the city. And while I go around every day and the mayor must be positive on a daily basis and be the city's best cheerleader, I was shocked that our future generations are just as excited about the future of this community as I am. And that was really assuring because obviously they're growing up here. At some point they're going to graduate high school, consider going off to college. But we also have to make sure our place is an engaging place, a place that they want to come back to if they want to pursue college elsewhere and find employment. And so, supporting our area employers and making sure that they have what they need to thrive and to survive, but also to make sure that we're a place that is just as competitive and just as exciting as other places that might be calling for their attention or calling for them to relocate to or to move to. And so I feel that my time in office, we haven't just planned, we've acted in that area to bring youth and young professionals back to the community. In fact, in April, Wisconsin Rapids will host a week of young professional events where we're going to engage many of the young professionals, not just youth, to the community who have found work here and are not from here, so they may not be as well connected as those of us that grew up here. And so that's a major step to make sure that not only youth are being heard, but also our employers have employees that they need to go into the future.
Thank you. Our question is, what are your plans to keep the youth in the area, referring to high school and college graduates? Robert Nash.
Right now I don't have any plans because we don't have any jobs. I don't have the magic pill to create jobs. We were making progress, I believe, 6-7 years ago, but that person left the community. The mayor refers to Act 10. I believe that was a windfall to the city of at least $400,000 a year. I think that's where the money goes for the redevelopment of downtown. Could have went to tax relief. It could have went to business to incentives out in our business park or our Woodlands Business Center. We need to get somebody on board, city manager, city administrator, that knows how to attract business, who knows how to run a city. Until then, we're just going to spin our wheels. We can sit and say everything we want, that we're going to keep our youth and we want them to come back, and they're going to come back. To come back to what? We don't have anything here right now, and we're just spinning our wheels year after year after year. Now, they hired, they're this Reggie. I watched the presentation last night, and it sounds good, and I hope, we're paying, taxpayer money is going towards this, and it's not a bad thing. It's a start. But it amazes me that this gentleman gets up and makes a presentation to our city council, and he closes his thing up and he says, "Any questions?" Not a question. Not a question. Silence. Now, I was sitting at home on my couch watching it, and I had 3-4 questions just off the top of my head, and that's an issue. You can't blame the mayor for everything. It's the city council has to be on board, and they have to have some input as far as what we want to do as far as business investment. Thank you.
Our next question related to business from our studio audience. To Bob Nash first. We hear a lot about bringing in business. Easier said than done. How will you keep the town going, and what specific businesses will you bring in?
Well, I believe I just answered that question, kind of, but no. Another point. The other day, the Daily Tribune. I was on vacation, and I had to get a new credit card because somehow my information, my card was getting charged for something. So anyway, my Tribune subscription had to be renewed, and I called up, and you call the 424 number. It says, "Welcome to the Daily Tribune," and whatever, but then they bounce you off to some call center somewhere. And then I did this once before, and I asked a lady after I was done giving her my information and everything, I said, "Can I just ask you where you were?" And, I thought maybe she thought I was a little weird maybe or something, but no, she was in Kentucky, some town in Kentucky. And the last time I called, somebody was out in North Dakota. We've got this business park out here, and I don't know why we can't get some sort of call center or something. 90 jobs, 100 jobs, 30 jobs. That would be a start. I guess that's it.
Thank you. Zach Verwink.
Can you repeat the question,
Sure.
please?
We hear a lot about bringing in business. Easier said than done. How will you keep this town going, and what specific businesses can you bring in, or will you bring in?
It's a great question. I'm glad that the person asking the question, it acknowledges it's a lot easier said than done. I think every mayor that's ever stood up here, incumbent or challenger, has always always wished that there was a simple, easy way to do this. And I want to address a couple of things that the city has done. There was just made mention of the hiring of a president for the Regional Economic Growth Initiative, or REGI. That position, the city funds that contribution through room tax dollars, of which the city has often earmarked monies from those staying in our hotels to support further economic development. And so Steve Anderson, who spoke to the council on Tuesday, talked about how building on our assets, building on the businesses that are existing, those that are here. You look at the industry of healthcare. We have a new owner of our healthcare facility in the community, and there's major opportunity, growth opportunity on the horizon for that institution. Not only because we have an aging population in this community, but they're looking to serve not only the Wisconsin Rapids area, but really a 200,000 population in our area. And so not only that industry, but growing the healthcare industry, obviously well-paying job, high-paying jobs, great job security, and the like. The other area that we've had some success is in the area of retail. Surprisingly, in some of the challenges that national retailers have had, and we've retained an anchor in the mall here, which has now signed a long-term lease. So as long as they continue to do well nationally with JCPenney, they're going to be here a long time. We just filled a vacancy on 8th Street, and we know when Staples left, that was going to be a major hole in our retail lineup, and we're now going to have a nice sporting goods store that we knew for a long time that sporting goods was a major leakage. Now, granted, that's not an economic development strategy, but it helps to enhance the overall quality life that our residents come to enjoy. So as it relates to jobs and businesses that the city has and continues to incentivize, production and manufacturing are high-paying jobs, and that's something that our incentives have been focused on. And as well as all the expansion that's happened in the West Side Industrial Park in my time in office, we've given away land or provided land at a very reduced cost to promote and to secure the development that's occurred there.
Thank you. Our next question, to Zach Fruink first. Infrastructure maintenance is a basic function of local government. How do you feel about the current level of attention and investment by the city?
Well, this is an issue nationally, right? This isn't just an issue for Wisconsin Rapids, but we've got an aging infrastructure like all other cities. One thing I'm proud of recognizing the need to invest and maintain a high level of infrastructure in our city is looking back my time in office. I entered office, for example, when our street maintenance was about $700,000 a year. Our street maintenance, our budgeted street maintenance for 2016 is $1.6 million. We're spending $1 million just on street repair and reconstruction in this city. From the time I entered office to today, $1 million more. We take a look at our sewer infrastructure, which we all know we have some big users of our sewer infrastructure from Ocean Spray to Mariani, as well as the landfill, all employing nearly 1,000 people collectively. Our sewer maintenance and sewer construction investment went from $450,000 when I took office in 2012. We're now spending $1.3 million this year. And I'm pleased that the City Council recognized the need to invest in our infrastructure. And this is an area that I care deeply about. Our businesses talk about this all the time. So if we don't have a strong infrastructure, we're going to be in trouble. Then I take a look at highway rehab. We all drive on our connecting highways, whether they're 34 out of town to the north, or Highway 13 to the south, or 54 into town. We went from zero spending in 2012 on our connecting highways in this city to over $210,000 this year. And if we didn't do those things, we would be playing catch up years down the road, and it costs us twice or 3 times as much. And so for infrastructure, having a plan and investing in our infrastructure, we've made a great investment in hiring a director of public works, a position the city had at one point in its time and was, I think, eliminated when Bob was on the council. And we lack a plan. And today, I'm proud to say that we're now putting together a capital improvements plan which will address our basic needs from sewer infrastructure and making sure we don't have any unknowns from the under river crossing that sends effluent from the west side to the east side of the river or others, and even maintaining our workforce. We have 70 employees in our public works space, and all of those employees, that's the number that I took office with, and I'm proud to say that we've maintained the same staffing levels in our infrastructure and our public works area.
Thank you. Our question is, infrastructure maintenance is a basic function of local government. How do you feel about the current level of attention and investment by the city? Bob Nash.
Well, I just listened to that, and I don't know if we're looking at 2 different budgets or we're talking about 2 different things. When you're talking maintenance, underground, sewers, stuff like that, yeah, we're investing. But as far as keeping our roads above, we're investing $70,000 less this year than last year on that. Curb and gutter, $20,000 less. We're budgeting $250,000 less than actual 2014 for snow removal. These all affect the roads above. Now, below, yeah, we've always invested in that. We've always borrowed $1 million to do street construction or sewer construction and such, or development stuff that people need stuff moved in, developments, housing developments, and so forth. So maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think we're investing enough in our above ground streets. I agree. You have to keep the sewer flowing, whether it's the sanitary or the other one. But we need to keep our roads. When you're going down the road, we always had nice roads, and it's not the last 4 years. It's been ongoing that we just keep cutting back and cutting back. So I don't think we're doing enough, to answer the question.
Thank you. Our next question, and once again, for those of you viewing, the call-in number is 423-0441 for those of you viewing at home. Our next question to Robert Nash first. What role do you believe the downtown plays in the city's overall economic development?
I believe it plays a role, but I think we're going about it the wrong way. I think we need to invest in our business park, in our Woodlands Business Park, in our East Side Industrial Park, to get some sort of development in there, and then we can take this money and buy buildings and whatever. And that's the other thing is, you talk about downtown development, whether it's the Tribune Building and basically giving encourage the parking lot across the street. We really don't receive with anything for that parking lot per se. But the buying of the buildings and everything, you know, they're half torn down and everything, and we own them. And now we're going to do a housing study to find out what kind of development we want down there, or if we need housing down there. Well, what happens if the housing study comes back and says, well, we've got enough housing, we've got enough empty houses, and we've got enough that everybody is happy with where they're living. Well, then we have retail and office space maybe that we're going to, well, we already have enough empty retail and office space in this city too. So again, it goes back to we need some sort of city manager, city administrator to say, hey, let's do our downtown area, but let's do a study to see what we really need down there. I mean, you can even do a referendum to ask the citizens. You had four elections this year. You're going to have, you know, I mean, I would like to have a voice just as Joe citizen where my tax money is going, not a mayor and 8 council members who don't ask a question. Thank you.
Thank you. Zach Vruwink, the question again?
Please, yeah.
What role do you believe the downtown plays in the city's overall economic development?
Thank you. I think the downtown plays an equally important role, as do our West Side Industrial Park, the Woodlands Business Park, or Rapids East Commerce. I think to neglect any one of them puts ourselves in the back seat when it comes to attracting and retaining businesses in the community. Our downtown plan efforts go way back. In most recent memory for most citizens, it's to the 1996 plan. And the 1996 plan involved efforts of residents all across the city, many of which are really interested in the issue yet today. When we talk about the plan in 2004, I think when Bob was on the city council at the time, the city created a TIF district downtown, and the plan was at that point created to identify areas to grow the tax base. When you have a TIF in place, you capture that tax increment, and then you fund infrastructure, you fund other efforts in the downtown district. And then in 2007, under my predecessor, we had the waterfront plan. I think Bob was also on the council for that plan, all of which identifying development opportunities in the district. Then in 2012, 13, and 14, we began saving money on an annual basis through the city budget. When it's mentioned that there's a lot of waste in the city budget, I'd love for someone to point it out to a great degree, because every budget that's been prepared, whether it's requests from department heads and others, I ask them if there's waste in that budget every time they put a request across my desk, and if they did, they would find a way to strike it, or I would at the same time. So we began buying property downtown. At the same time, begin discussing what are the uses of those properties downtown. A lot of the tax base was declining, and today we've got a housing study underway. We've had it underway for a number of months. Those things do take some time, and we expect the results in the coming weeks. In the coming weeks, those results will then be shared with the community, and the city council at the time will continue to discuss what it wants to see in the redevelopment. If we're talking specific to the courthouse redevelopment, there certainly is opportunity for mixed-use development. We know our housing market in this community. Talk to any realtor. Housing market is actually pretty strong, and we're one of the cheapest places in the state to live. And so having housing downtown is a critical component to growing our economy, as is new and vibrant commercial and retail spaces. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, everyone, for the questions. Our next will go to Zach Vruwink first. What are your thoughts on the Mayor's Council on Sustainability, and what should it accomplish during the next term?
It's a great question. This is an initiative actually that started in some form under my predecessor, and I decided to pick it up and run with it as well because there was a group of people in the community that cared very much about this community's sustainability. And it's not just environmental sustainability; it's also social sustainability and economic sustainability, et cetera. And so I think the major opportunities with that exist in the area of looking at baseline data of what our city's energy consumption is. And it's not just the fuel that we power our vehicles with, but what's our recycling rates? What's the energy consumption of our buildings, et cetera? And you only get to know what you measure, right? And you only get the results that you want when you set benchmarks and targets for things. And so we began that work and carried it on from 2012. And while this process takes some time, there's no question, I feel that there's major opportunities to save money within the city budget by looking and addressing ways that we're consuming our energy and our resources. But I also think beyond just sustainability, it's also looking at initiatives like our recycling and recognizing that for every item we throw in the landfill, it costs the residents more than if it were recycled. And we've got great ordinances and that support major recycling initiatives and efforts by residents. But of course, it requires enforcement. And so I think the Mayor's Council on Sustainability has been a great effort. There's things take time, and I think that there's definitely progress being made already within that group. One project that's been worked on is getting recycling in our park system. We expect people to recycle at home. Why don't we expect people to recycle when they're using our parks? And I think there's major efforts underway to continue that effort. And I'm excited about the group of residents that care about not only the environmental sustainability, but also the economic sustainability, ensuring that helping businesses lower cost by their energy consumption and the like are all a major benefit.
Thank you. To Robert Nash, what are your thoughts on the Mayor's Council on Sustainability, and what should it accomplish during the next term?
I really don't know a lot about the Council on Sustainability, but I do know as the discussion has been around about maybe changing recycling, and so I checked into that a little bit and looked at the budget. And since 2012, we aren't paying much more. It's level for whether it be the tipping fees for the garbage or for the recycling that we pick up, and it's even. It's not. It fluctuates just a little bit since 2012. So I don't think it's as big an issue as that we need a council on sustainability. So I guess that's just all I have to say about it.
Thank you. Our next question will go to Robert Nash first. This came from a caller. Thank you. What 2 acts of courageous leadership will you perform in your first year of office?
Courageous leadership, huh? Well, first I would approach the city council and say, sit down with all of them and try to explain my view of why we might need a city manager or a city administrator. I've worked with 4 mayors now over the years, and you had Vern Virginski, he was on council, I believe, for a little bit, but he was basically the street superintendent. Then you had Jerry Bach, who was involved in the cranberry business. The company no longer exists. Then you had Mary Jo Carson. Well, she worked for the state for Department of Commerce, and we have a small business owner. If I'm elected, am a paper maker. Okay. We need somebody, and we need to pay it. It's going to take money, and that's why I've been studying these budgets. And when he says the budget is very tight, no, the money is there to hire a city administrator. It's going to cost money, but you have to reorganize. You're going to have to reorganize. It's going to affect. It could affect the city attorney's office. We have a full-time city attorney, and I know why, because I was there when we changed it from a part-time to a full-time. But why do we still have a part-time city attorney? We're paying $23,000 for a part-time city attorney and $96,000 for a city attorney. Now that's waste, okay? Lost my train of thought there for a second. But anyway, and so you need somebody that comes in, that can come in and knows how. That's their business. That's what they need to do. I would say to the council, let's educate the public. Go to a part-time city attorney. You can go, still be part-time mayor. It would still be elected. You would still elect your mayor. You would still have your handshaker and backslapper. Then if you wanted to, you could go so far as just to make your council president your mayor for your duties. There's many ways you can go about doing it, and I will. That's one of the. I guess I only have one big thing I'm going to do.
Thank
You know,
you.
I run out of time, but
For Mayor Zach Fruink, what 2 acts of courageous leadership will you perform in your first year of office?
Well, I think building on all of the efforts that are underway in the last 4 years, first of which we've got to get the issue of aquatics dealt with, and that's going to take courageous leadership. It's going to force the city to spend a good sum of money that it hasn't been in a position or desired maybe to do up to this point. So the first thing is to spend $3 to $5 million, as is projected for any outdoor aquatics or indoor aquatics facility, to ensure that the next generation or the next multiple generations have the same quality of life that residents up until this point had in this community with outdoor aquatics. So that's the first area of courageous leadership. The second area of courageous leadership is getting to work on making sure that the mayor's term is a 4-year term. I hear this all the time when I talk to residents going door to door. They certainly want it to be a 4-year term. We spend 6 months every 2 years from the electoral process to elect or to re-elect a mayor. And I walk past all the mayor's pictures going up to my office, and if I look at every one of the pictures for the last 100 years, most mayors serve between 4 and 8 years. So why not have, just like every other full-time strong mayor form of government around the state or around the country, have a 4-year term for the mayor? So that's one area. There's many benefits to it. You think long-term, your planning is much more long-term. You think less term and how politically I need to be on this issue so I get re-elected. All those things really take away from the electoral process and really are wasted energy. Now, there's been a number of mentions about a city administrator. City administrators are, the wages of a city administrator are about 3 times that of the mayor, and I feel that we've got a great lineup of city staff. We've professionalized now again the public works director position with the city attorney, the HR director, the finance director. We don't need a city administrator in the city. In fact, it'd be wasted money. And I feel that if we get strong candidates run for mayor and you pay that person in that elected position a good sum of money to attract good candidates, we won't need a city administrator, especially if you make a 4-year term for the mayor. I think many residents have voiced their opinion on this subject, and they don't want to see a city administrator.
Thank you. We have a question from another caller who is suggesting that there have been a lot of negatives being talked about, and this goes to Zach Fruink first. What positives will you bring to the city in the next 2 years?
Well, I think one of the major things that I'll continue to bring, and that's to speak positively about this community. I'm incredibly proud to call Wisconsin Rapids home. I make no apologies to that, to my friends that have decided to move away. I love this community, and I love the potential future and the opportunities that are before this community. And I think speaking positively is a major trait that people wonder, you can have a big day of bad news or not so good news, and how do you keep positive? You have to stay positive, right? The role of the mayor is something that you can't ever think negatively about the future, even if there are circumstances that put out that you have to think positive. And there are going to be times when you've got bad news and you've got to deal with that, and of course you just hunker down and you move forward. I think the other thing of positivity is to continue to invest in our waterfront. I think there's a major effort underway. The state obviously is very interested in investing in us, and they've encouraged us, in fact, to apply again to receive more state dollars to go a long way in making our waterfront an even more attractive place for residents, for visitors, and for businesses who wish to locate near the waterfront. I think that's a major opportunity and something that when you talk about potential in this community, it's an untapped potential, and our tax base downtown shows it. I mean, we're standing next to a building that we don't know the future of, right? And the city doesn't own the mall, but the mall certainly is an opportunity for us to address, whether it's repurposing or finding new ways to reuse the property. It's a major anchor in our community. It's a major piece of our downtown tax base. So that's another area that I would say, looking forward in a very positive light, that it could be looked at as a boat anchor in some respects, but it certainly is something that there is potential and an opportunity to repurpose the thing, and amongst others for redevelopment.
Thank you. What positives will you bring in the next few years? Robert Nash.
But wasn't there another part to that question?
Well, it said there's been a lot of negatives being talked about.
Okay, because I don't know if that's being addressed tonight or negatives in the community.
I think tonight.
Tonight?
Yeah.
I wasn't trying to be negative. I don't think he was being negative about anything. So positives, I'm going to say again about the city administrator. He says they're expensive. Yeah, they are very expensive. But again, with Act 10, we had $400,000 sitting in our budget that we could use toward that. We had $1 million we spent on buildings. That's 4 years of city administrator or city manager. The money is there. We just need to pick up our shorts here, and we need to move forward, because I've lived here for 57 years, or 56 years, and I've been involved in city government for 15 years, and I don't see any progress. I just don't, you can say the riverfront, maybe I'm talking negative, but I don't think it's negative. I'm making a point. But this is progress when we tear buildings down and everything. No, I'm not against it, but I'm against the way it came about, okay? And I don't think there's a plan. That now we're going to do a study. He says, well, it's been 3-4 months we've been doing this study. Well, we owned the buildings 8 months ago. So if a person thinks it's negative, well, that's what you need to do if you want to get elected, I guess. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you both for answering a lot of questions tonight. I want to remind our viewing audience, the next portion of our forum will feature the Wisconsin Rapids Common Council Districts 1 and 2 candidates. So get some questions ready for those 4 gentlemen here tonight. Okay, this is our final question, and it will go to Robert Nash first. With Wisconsin Rapids having a strong mayor/council form of government, the system does have checks and balances. As mayor, how would you work with the governing body to get things done?
If we stay, first of all, again, I would try to push I would at least have it put to a referendum, whether the city should go to that kind of management. And if they stay with the mayor, then again, I worked with 4 different mayors. I spent 15 years on a city council, so I can go in there and I know the history, and I know how to work with the city council. I can talk to them, and I still know many of them. I know past council members. I've never had a problem. I don't think you could find anybody at City Hall that has anything bad to say about me. I've always done what's best for the organization. Sometimes you make people mad. Sometimes you make people happy. He mentions our employees. We have great employees, and we compensate them well, but we don't compensate them any more than we have to. And our protective services, we basically have them under the thumb. They call it the hammer, because you're either going to take this or we're going to raise your insurance. That's no way to treat an employee. I did it once, and I told, that was right when I was ready to leave, and I said, I'll never do it again. And so I'm a mayor that is going to stand with the employees. I'm going to treat them well. They treat the public well. The public's happy, but I'm going to push for a city administrator or a city manager. Now, whether that happens or not, so be it. We'll see.
Thank you. Zach Bruink.
The question one more time, please.
Certainly. With Wisconsin Rapids having a strong mayor/council form of government, the system has checks and balances. As mayor, how would you work with the governing body to get things done?
Well, that was a reality that I learned very quick, that the executive of the city only can do so much, only has so much power, that the governing body is really the body that advances the work of the mayor. And I'm proud to say in my time in office that I've had a great working relationship with the council. When Bob was on the council for my first 2 years in office, to the council that I work with today, and maybe the council I hope to work with in the future following the election, that we have a great relationship. Of course, there's a lot of debate and a lot of discussion at the committee level. I think if Bob wants to see what happens, the committee level is the model that we use and lean heavily on. A lot of debate happens at the committee level. And so, I'm very pleased to have a good relationship with the council. Of course, we don't agree on every issue, and that's healthy. That's the way democracy works. But I also learned that, obviously the mayor doesn't get a vote on a particular issue. So if the mayor is advancing a program or an initiative or an idea, that issue better be well thought out, and it better be well discussed internally and with the public, or the council is going to question it. And I think in my time in office, tremendous. Been able to have a great working relationship with the council. Our budgets obviously have been a healthy discussion through the process of putting together the budget. And frankly, people always say, well, I don't know how you sit through those meetings and all of that. Well, that's the process. And I'm pleased to say that during my time in office, we've had a great relationship with the council, got a lot of stuff done. In fact, we've, as I mentioned earlier, we've kept people employed. We haven't had to furlough or lay people off. We've been able to work creatively to balance our budget on an annual basis and even grow our spending. As I mentioned, we're spending more on our infrastructure and our streets and our roadway than before I took office, and that doesn't happen overnight. And plus, you have to be very creative, right? When we talk about areas that the council and the mayor may disagree, of course, there's going to be those, and that's healthy. And so I think that the strong mayor council form of government works very well for this community. It works well for places like Stevens Point and Wausau and Madison and Manitowoc and West Allis, all these communities that have full-time strong mayor forms of government and have a thriving economy. That's the model we've had for the last 100 years. There's no reason to change other than simply a perception of how things could be different.
Thank you. If you tuned in late to this broadcast, the Mayor Candidates Forum will be available on demand at rccamedia.com, as well as rebroadcast several times before the April 5th general election on television. And also WFHR is broadcasting the forum at 11 o'clock on Saturday. Thank you, WFHR, for providing that service. It's now time for closing statements, and we will begin with Zach Verwink.
I want to thank everybody again for their attention and obviously for phoning in questions or watching from home. This election is for a full-time 2-year term for the mayor. And there's been a lot of discussion and by my opponent to suggest we need a city manager, city administrator. Well, on April 5th, the voters will head to the polls to elect a mayor for the full 2-year term. Should the community decide to change the form of government to a city administrator or manager form of government, I don't think that I'm going to spend any of my time working and running around the community saying and championing as my time as mayor to move to a different form of government. I think if that's the case, the council obviously will make that determination, and if somebody wants to make that change, they should run for city council. And I think my time in office I've spent to keep people employed with the city. I think a big area is we've added staff in the public safety arena. We added 3 firefighters at the end of the last year. I added a new detective in the police department. We've kept people employed in public works departments, all of which without their challenges, without major challenges to get that done. We've obviously at a crossroads, and we continue to be with our community as we look forward. And I'm very honored and pleased to call Wisconsin Rapids home and to lead this great city. And I think a lot of the initiatives that people have watched over the last number of years have really made people feel like there is things happening. The direction of the city is going in is positive, and recognizing, and Bob knows this after serving on the city council for 15 years, things take time and it's a slow process. It can be a little bit slower than we all like to have and to work with at times, but that's the nature of government and the democracy in which we operate. Very honored to have the public support in the primary, and I ask for people to make sure they look into the interviews of both Bob and I and think long and hard, reach out to us. We'll be happy to answer your questions, and hope that I am honored and we'll be grateful to have your support on April 5th. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Zach Verwink, and now Challenger Robert Nash.
Thank you. I want to thank the league for putting on this forum. It was entertaining again. I'm not going to stand here and say that I'm not for a city manager, city administrator. I mean, I've looked at the budgets and I've looked at Wisconsin Rapids, and to compare Stevens Point or Wausau or Madison, it's not the same. We are really a little hole in the state here. Even Marshfield, if you look at Marshfield, they have 10 now, Highway 10 now, that goes basically through the city. It's a 4-lane road. We don't have that. We have 54 comes in and basically goes nowhere. If you're not in favor of pushing that agenda, then I can't help it. I would want to be mayor. I would be a good mayor. But that's just, I think I needed to put that out there, that's what I think we need in Wisconsin Rapids. We need a change. We need a change. We've been spinning our wheels for 20 years. And I brought it up, and we've had discussions, sidebars at city meetings and whatever, and there's people out there that agree with me. The current mayor obviously doesn't, and that's fine. We'll see what happens, I guess. Thank you. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Hi, Adeline. Love you.
Zachary Verling and Robert Nash facing each other on the April 5th general election ballot for Wisconsin Rapids mayor. We're going to take a short break and we'll return with our Wisconsin Rapids Common Council, Districts 1 and 2 candidates. Thank you.
Welcome to the second part of the League of Women Voters Candidate Forum for the April 5th election. My name is Gloria Kubishak, and I will moderate this part of the debate. The candidates for Wisconsin Rapids Common Council will be featured. They are from District 1, Lee Tao and Joe Zurfluh. District 2 Common Council candidates are Todd Furkey and Lee Graff. Earlier this evening, each candidate drew for the order of speaking. Each of them will have 2 minutes for opening statements, 2 minutes to respond to questions, and 2 minutes for closing remarks. Our viewing audience can call in questions at 423-20441. Only questions pertaining to issues, not personalities, will be asked. We are now ready to begin with opening statements, and we will start with Lee Graff.
Hello, my name is Lee Graff. I want to thank the League of Women Voters and RCCA Media for putting on this event. I was born and raised in this community. I grew up in this community, graduated from Lincoln High School, where I met my wife, my future wife. I got into mill writing, became an apprentice at 19, moved on through my apprenticeship, finished up my schooling, and continued to work in my field as millwrighting and repairing equipment. And I'm married, have 4 kids, and I just wanted to say hi to everybody that's out there, get people to at least understand who I am.
Thank you. Lee Tao.
Hi. I want to thank the League of Women Voters. My name is Lee Tao. I moved here from a refugee camp from Thailand in 1976. Moved to Rapids in 1978, and I've been here since 1987. Got the years wrong. In 1987, and I've been here since. Graduated high school here. At 16, I was working at the Hmong Association translating, and then after that, I became a part of the board for about 3 years. And then after that, I've been chosen as assistant clan leader in my clan in the Hmong community, and I've been doing that for the past 16 years. So I just wanted to thank everybody watching at home tonight, and thank you guys for having us on this forum tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Joe Zurfluh.
Hello, thank you to the League of Women Voters, everyone watching at home, and everyone here. My name is Joe Zurfluh. I grew up in Port Edwards, just south of Wisconsin Rapids here. Went in the Army for 3 years. After I got out, I moved to the city, got my associate degree in criminal justice, was lucky enough to be hired as a deputy with the local sheriff's department. After being hired full-time, I got my bachelor's degree in criminal justice, and basically I've just been furthering my career. And then I see that our former alderman resigned and Lee Tao was appointed to the position. I thought this would be a good opportunity for me to run for this position. Being a local boy and growing up here, I know many members of the community, hopefully not through my line of work, of course, but I'm really impressed, I guess, with everyone up here right now. Everyone's very courteous to each other. There's a lot of handshaking and stuff. And I guess I'm just looking forward to tonight, letting everybody know where I stand on the issues. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe Zurfluh. Todd Furkey.
Thank you, Gloria. And thank you, Wisconsin Rapids and League of Women Voters, for having us here tonight to let the city get to know us all. Thank you for current serving council members and our mayor and those aspiring to serve the city of Wisconsin Rapids. I know it takes a little bit of guts and stuff to get your name out there and to make a commitment to want to serve in the public. And I sure appreciate RCCA here and those in attendance, League of Women Voters, for sponsoring this. I think this afternoon or this evening, Wisconsin Rapids will get to know all four of us and be able to make a good decision, a decision based on past history or past experience. Also, the experience that each one of us brings in our own livelihoods. I also am married, have 4 children, and been in Wisconsin Rapids for about 56 years and live on the west side, Russell and 22nd Avenue. I'm accessible, telephone. I don't text or tweet, but I do answer the phone. I do answer my door. People have contacted me at my business at Exhaust Pros. My wife and I started that 22 years ago today, and enjoy speaking to the public on a variety of issues, those that are before us with aquatics or the riverfront. And it's nice to get input from everybody, not only those from City Hall, but also those that are my neighbors and those that I socialize with. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll start the questions with you, Lee Tao. And the first question is this: what will be facing the council in terms of dealing with the heroin situation in Wisconsin Rapids?
I don't quite get that question. Can you repeat that?
Sure. What will be facing the council in terms of dealing with the heroin situation in Wisconsin Rapids?
You know, I think that with the heroin issue that we currently have here, you know, as the mayor had said before, we have just hired another detective, and with that, we had to adjust some of our budget in order to hire this position out. And I think that with this position, it will help with taking care of the heroin issue or other drug issues within our community.
Thank you. Joe Zerflu.
Well, unfortunately, I do know of this problem. It's not just our community, of course. Rapids isn't that different from any other community, probably throughout the Midwest right now. Heroin is a very easily accessible drug. It's devastating to families and individuals that use it. We did take a very positive step in the local police department hiring an additional drug investigator. There's more that it's going to take to put a real dent in the problem of drug use in general, especially heroin. Certainly more arrests being made is a very positive step. Will have an impact. I'm very confident in our local police department. As a council, I think we're going to have to also consider other avenues such as intervention, treatment, alternatives to especially youth, so maybe they don't experiment with drugs in the first place. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Todd Furkey.
Thank you, Gloria. So I was, being on the Human Resources Committee, being committee chair, I had an opportunity and the experience to discuss this issue with our police chief and some of our detectives, the assistant police chief, and know firsthand how detrimental this problem is to Wisconsin Rapids. Being on the Human Resources Board or Committee, we worked with the city staff, with the police chief in hiring another narcotics detective. We did it in a fiscally responsible way. We had an opportunity. I had an opportunity to be actually part of a home invasion here in the last 2 months to see again firsthand how close this problem is to my own neighborhood, and that was again an eye opener. But we can't just arrest our way out of this problem. It does have to be multifaceted through education, through intervention. When we look at some of our neighbors, some of our family members that have been affected by this epidemic, and it's not only heroin, it's others, cocaine and whatever. There's tons of different drugs out there. But education is a major part of it. But again, having the narcotics detective, a second narcotics detective hired, that will help the city and combat the problem. It will take some of the stress and strain off our single narcotics detective that we had prior to this, so he's able to go to other communities and help out with the Central Wisconsin Drug Task Force too. Thank you.
Thank you. Lee Graff.
As far as what I would do as an alderman, working with the heroin problem that we have in the community, is I'm not a police officer, nor do I pretend to be. So my big stance is working together with the people that we have hired in the community to make sure that they have the tools that they need to make sure that their job is getting done effectively. And I believe that's what we need to do, is work together as a council and as the department heads and really get together, find out some positive things that we can do, whether it's education or whether it's arrests or whatever the avenue in which the people that we currently employ, whatever action plan they have. I believe that's my position on the heroin problem in the city of Wisconsin Rapids.
Thank you. We'll go to you, Joe Zerflu, for the next question. What is your stance or opinion on solving the present problem of lack of city clerk right now here in Wisconsin Rapids?
Well, I have had an opportunity to talk to the gentleman who's handling those duties right now. I know that the city council recently discussed the option of changing the clerk to an appointed position rather than an elected position. I was happy with the route they ultimately took. The councilman that made the argument for the position being appointed had some really good points, and it is information that we should definitely consider. However, there was a referendum. The voters in the city did say they wanted to keep that position elected, and so I thought, my personal opinion was that it should stay elected. In the meantime, we just have to have someone fill the spot until hopefully we can have an election on that position. I actually don't even know if there is one coming up on April 5th or not. I haven't heard of anything like that, but I would just hope people express interest whenever this gets worked out. Obviously, if I'm on the council, I would push to have an election for that position as soon as it would make sense to do so.
Thank you. Todd Furkey.
Could you repeat the question, please?
Sure. What is your stance or opinion on the present lack of the city clerk or the city clerk in the city right now?
Well, we are currently without a city clerk. We do have a secretary and deputy city clerk standing in now. And Paul is actually our election specialist to help out with our elections. Susan is down there fulfilling a lot of the city clerk's duties. When our past city clerk left in midterm, kind of caught the city flat-footed there, because in the past the city clerk and the city treasurer were both each other's deputy. So when one was gone on vacation, one got hit by a bus, whatever, the other one could fulfill those duties. After Dave Batten retired, our former city treasurer, we were left with no deputy city clerk. So when Mr. Blazer decided to take another opportunity in business, it again kind of caught the city flat-footed, so that we were able to, we weren't able to have a lot of the city clerk's duties done only by actions by the city attorney and then also city council. So this, currently we will have a city clerk, but that city clerk will be appointed by the mayor, and whether that term will end in 2018 or whether it'll end at an election this fall or next spring, that is yet to be decided. But we will have a city clerk, and that city clerk will be appointed by the mayor. But again, that is a limited term, possibly just to fill out the existing term that was vacated. Thank you.
Thank you. Lee Graff.
The question again, please.
Sure. What is your stance or opinion on the present lack of the city clerk situation?
Well, first I'd like to start, being new in the political arena. I think that as a taxpayer in the community, I'd like to say in what's going on in my community. With that being said, not filling the position of a city clerk and not having a proactive plan in the immediate future of filling the city clerk, and I, excuse me if I speak too fast, this city clerk put it in his letter of recognition,
Resignation.
resignation, thank you very much, back in December. So we haven't gone with the city clerk for 4 months, working on 5 months now. I think there could have been something done prior to this, but I still believe that the voting people of Wisconsin Rapids want an opinion on the city board, and that would be to an elect city clerk.
Thank you. Lee Tao.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Sure. What is your stance or opinion on the present lack of city clerk in the city right now?
Right now, we don't have a city clerk, but we do have Sue, who's been acting as the city clerk for us right now. And, in the near future, we're hoping that we would have the mayor appoint somebody to that position to fulfill that position till we can come to an agreement as to when will we have an election for the new position. Whether that's this year yet, we don't know that yet, or that appointed person as the clerk, are they going to stay for the rest of the term, which would be coming up in about a year and a half yet, 2018. So at this point in time, we don't have one, but we have a temporary one in place right now, and hoping that in the near future we can make a decision as to which route to go. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lee Tao. Todd Furkey, we'll begin with you on this next question. What is your opinion on REGI, the Regional Economic Growth Initiative that the city is involved in?
Well, my opinion is that anything we can do to bring more business to the community and to the central Wisconsin is a benefit. REGI does not only help the city of Wisconsin Rapids, but it also helps the town of Rome, city of Nakusa, Port Edwards, and surrounding areas, Grand Rapids, Burin. Not everybody that lives in Wisconsin Rapids works in Wisconsin Rapids. Not everybody that lives in Burin works in Burin, right? So REGI is an initiative and a group that is out seeking businesses, out looking for ways that our area can be beneficial and inspire growth from different companies. There is a cost to it. I believe last year we spent $25,000 in support of REGI, but it is beneficial, and it's, I think, good bang for the buck. So that's just my opinion. Huh?
Thank you very much, Mr. Furkey. Lee Graff. Do you need the question repeated?
Yes, please.
Sure. What is your opinion on REGI, acronym for Regional Economic Growth Initiative, that the city is involved in?
Well, I guess my first opinion is, isn't that what I'm supposed to be doing as alderman? Helping grow the community and working with the local businesses in order to decide and help out with the community. I'm not saying that REGI is bad. All I'm saying is, at what point do we hold myself accountable as an alderman? I mean, I believe in accountability, and if you're hiring me to do a job, then isn't that what I'm supposed to be doing? Now, do I think am I looking too far that maybe we should have a regional team? Yeah, I would agree. Maybe, regionally it wouldn't be a bad idea, but as far as myself goes, I mean, I would hope that aldermen are held accountable for looking at possible solutions to the problem with jobs in the community or any other economic growth, and that would be communication through the city itself.
Thank you, Lee Graff. Lee Towle, would you like me to repeat
Yes.
the question?
Yes, please.
What is your opinion on the Regional Economic Growth Initiative that the city is involved in?
And again, like Todd had said, REGI has been looking at the economics development part, not for this region, but for surrounding areas, surrounding regions, to help us develop to develop a system or to develop information that we can use to get more manufacturing companies, more jobs to come to this area. And so therefore, I think we're doing a good job with that, and they're doing a good job for us with that too. Thank you.
Thank you, Lee Towle. Joe Zerflu.
I'm happy with any information this city is willing to listen to by any group, REGI or otherwise, pertaining to economic development. As we heard an hour ago, for those that were watching, the mayor talked about everything being interrelated, industrial, commercial, everything. And I think a lot of communities need some help. Certainly as aldermen, it is our job to try to develop these things, and that is what our mission should be if we're elected, is to go out and remain in contact with residents, business owners, everyone. But I think any bit of help that we can get, or any other little bit of information, is definitely very useful. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe Zerflu. Lee Graff, we'll start with you on the next question, and it is, are you in favor of an aquatic center, and how should it be funded?
Well, not being a part of the city council currently, as far as the funding goes, I don't know in which, what avenue that would take and where to get the funding. Do I think that maybe our city should have been a little bit more proactive of looking toward budgeting in something, knowing that we have a pool that is depleting? And I've expressed to other people about the different areas that have lost pools, whether it be the East Side Pool, Port Edwards Pool, Nakusa Pool. There is a need for an aquatic center. There is a need for a pool. I am full support of an aquatic center. I don't know at what time, moving forward in the future, how long this would take. I'm really disappointed. I just found out this week, and it could be my fault just getting into city politics, is that we are permanently shutting down the West Side Pool. That makes me think, what have we been doing, knowing that if we found out about this 7 months ago, then what have we been doing for the last 7 months to whether budget in some sort of pool renovation or aquatic center? And why isn't the current site that we have the pool at not good enough? And is our community only wanting one pool? We have two sides of the community with the river dividing it. Is there any reason that the west side should have it or shouldn't have it, or the east side should have it or shouldn't have it? I mean, I think there's many different avenues we could have went, but we haven't. So we need to move forward in that direction. I believe it was brought up with the last, for all those that were watching the mayor's debate. I think that's definitely something we need to move forward to, and I would hope that our city council moves forward in a weather's getting nicer out there, and we want to see our kids have somewhere to go.
Thank you, Lee Graff. Lee Tao, would you like me to repeat
Yes,
the question? Are you in favor of an aquatic center, and how should it be funded?
Aquatic Center has been a focus on that my constituents has called me on before. In the past, when we have both the east and west side pool, I don't know why it wasn't in the budget for maintenance of the pool, and but unfortunately, this year we've been notified by the state, as the mayor has said, that we can no longer use our west side pool. Therefore, we had, as a council, we came together and we'd wanted to do some research on the aquatic center. Whether it's to go out and make our own, which, in the long term, we're going to have to plan for maintenance, and we're going to have to pay for our staffing. Or our second option is to go with the Y and have, provide some funds for them to build this pool, at the same time sharing the pool. And that, to me, sometimes it's going to be a conflict of what times are going to be available for our citizens. And either way we go, we need a new pool, because this year we won't be able to use it, and who knows for how long before we get the new pool in, or before we decide on which direction to go. It's unfortunate, but we should have been prepared as a city, to have maintenance available for our two pools. They were in great location, but we didn't plan for the maintenance of it, and therefore now we lose the usage of that pool, and now we have to come up with a new plan to get a new pool in. Thank you.
Thank you, Lee Tao. Joe Zerflu.
Could you read the question
Sure,
again, please?
absolutely. Are you in favor of an aquatic center, and how should it be funded?
I absolutely am in favor of an aquatic center. I'm disappointed that the Mead Pool is closing. Sometimes things happen. Sounds like the city knew about this a while ago, but of course, they have a lot of different avenues that they have to consider. Someone tonight mentioned an indoor aquatics pool, which I think would have been really cool when I was growing up, but I am in favor of that. Going back to our very first question of the night, I talked about the heroin problem throughout the state and things that I think can be done about it, and activities, especially for youth, are very important. I don't see how, doesn't sound like anyone so far thinks it would be a bad idea. The harder question to answer, of course, is the funding. Obviously, grants or tax dollars are about the only options I can think of right now. But it's an avenue that we need to approach and think about for sure. And the council, whether I'm elected to or not, I'm confident that they will come up with an answer to that problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe Zerflu. Todd Furkey.
Thank you. So if you have an 86 Chevy Celebrity, you don't really want to put a lot of money into that. This is kind of where we were at with our city pool. We knew it was had some problems, was losing water, heaving up in one corner, and we attempted as a city to limp along with this until we could get a good handle on just what the public wanted. And I think with the surveys that's out there now, we'll find that the public does want an aquatic center rather than an outdoor pool. An outdoor pool in Wisconsin, and anybody that lives in Wisconsin Rapids knows that the weather can be 60 degrees one week and raining and pee and snow another week subsequent. So having an outdoor pool is not a good bang for the buck. Having the participation on the west side pool, it costs city taxpayers about $30 per swimmer per day to have that over there. I know they only pay $1 or $1.50 themselves out of pocket, but that's not what it costs the city. By the time we paid the lifeguards and the functionality of the pool, it costs a lot of money. Having an indoor aquatics facility is going to be a benefit for those very young and very old. And that can be used year-round, and it can be used for not only relaxation, but also for rehabilitation. We are in negotiation with the YMCA and in the past with Riverview Hospital Association. Those have somewhat slowed down, those negotiations. But having the city pay some money up front and then being able to walk away from it without paying lifeguards every day of the week is a benefit to the city.
Thank you very much. We'll begin with you, Lee Tao, on the very next question. And this is a question that has been called in by one of our viewers. We do want to remind our viewers that we welcome your questions at 423-0441. What do you think about a city manager administrator structure as opposed to a mayoral structure of government?
I think that why would we waste more tax money hiring a manager for the city when we have the mayor? What is the purpose of the mayor after that then? You know, why would we even have one if we're going to have a city manager? That's tax dollars that we could use for other avenues. And if we are to hire somebody from the outside, who's going to be in control? Who is really in charge of the city then? You know, and that's the kind of thing that goes through my mind when the city manager position is brought up, is why do we want to pay more, have more expenses for the city than we currently have now, where we could use that funding to hire someone else for example, law enforcement, the drug issues, all of that. And that's just my opinion, where I stand on that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lee Tao. Joe Zerflu.
Can you read it again just so
Sure.
I know the
What
wording?
do you think about a city manager administrator form of government as opposed to a mayoral structure?
Well, I just throw it out there. I like our current structure. I would hope to keep it. I'm sure are advantages to a city administrator position. Like my opponent just said, it's an extra cost, even if the mayor were to go to a part-time basis. You know, not too long ago, we were talking about our city clerk position, and even though that was changing the position from elected to appointed, this is adding another position that would obviously only be appointed. I think the city council, the mayor, they appoint department heads. As far as day-to-day operations of the city, you have police and fire chiefs, you have the Waterworks and Lighting Commission, Joe Terry now working with the city, great guy. I have confidence in our department heads, the city council, the mayor as a whole. The voters will hold these people accountable for the decisions they make every 2 years. So I don't think a city administrator position would make sense for our city right now.
Thank you, Joe Zerflu. Todd Furkey.
Thank you. So I'm in favor of keeping the current system that we have. When I think of a city manager, I think of a bean counter, I guess. We need someone to set a vision for the city, someone that looks into opportunities and has a vision for, say, our downtown. If a city manager, again, they probably look at numbers, look at accountability with the budget, but there again, that is what we have department heads for. And that budget is gone over with the department heads and the mayor, and then it's also gone over again and again with the property and finance, and then any input from other council members. So I am not in favor of a city manager. I like the current system we have. Our current mayor, I think, does an excellent job. I think he's quite involved with all aspects of city government. If you watch your RCCA media, you'll see his name and his face at a lot of the different committees, whether it's airport or whether it's all the basic public works, the property and finance, the planning and economic development, industrial commission, all of the meetings. We have a mayor that is quite active in all of our activities within city government now. And I think he does hold all departments accountable. I think he holds all council people accountable. And that, I think, is what you'd look for as a leader. And I'm not sure if you would get that with a manager-type position. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Furkey. Lee Graff.
Well, I'll tell you, that was a very interesting question. As a matter of fact, this is the first time I've ever heard of it was tonight. So as far as my opinion on it, whether it be for or against, I'm not going to make that stance right now because I'm more than willing to listen to other ideas that are out there, just no different than any other council member should be willing to listen to anybody else's ideas, no matter where they come from. So as the system we have now, that's why I got involved, is with the system that we currently have, and these new changes are something that I haven't had an opportunity to think over or really necessarily understand its entirety, whether it's who it's going to be supervising over, who, if the idea is that we're going to hire a manager because they have more knowledge about how to run a business, whether it be a city or outside opinions do matter. But to overthrow the government or anything that we have currently, it would be a hard position to say that, you'd be willing to do it.
Thank you very much, Lee Graff. Joe Zerflu, we'll begin with you on the next question. It relates to the downtown development plan. What do you feel about the downtown development plan?
Well, I certainly think developing our city is a good idea. Again, I've brought this up at least twice already tonight, but the overall health of the city is residential, commercial, industrial, everything together. The cost is some cause for hesitation. I would support making, of course, any part of the city look better, be more attractive to people living here now, people visiting the area. But it would have to be implemented where the taxpayers wouldn't feel an undue burden. If I haven't heard any answers to any of the questions about funding or anything like that, but when everything comes in, I think that's when we're all going to have to make our decision once we have all the information. Specifically, the Riverfront project is what I call it, but any other downtown projects that are currently ongoing, I think right now the city is making good steps. I don't agree with 100% of them necessarily, but for instance, the building that was recently tore down really needed to be tore down, and I think just that makes the area look a little better as of right now. So if you're asking me if I would support it, I can't say 100% either way right now because we just don't have all of the information. So thank you.
Thank you. Todd Furkey.
Hi. So with the downtown development, that area across from the courthouse is and has been a blighted area for many, many years. The buildings that were just tore down were actually built in the 1800s. They contained asbestos insulation, asbestos tile, some of the soil beneath the parking lot there and beneath the old Labor Temple, which is currently Charlie's Bar, soil contamination there also. So a blighted area that was going to crumble into the dirt and just an eyesore for the downtown. If that area was not developed, you would see further decline in the current businesses that are up and running there, and most of them are of the tavern type business, not all, but some. We needed to take the lead on that because our citizens, the local businessmen, the Clavines, the Zerflus, the Sprangers, that's a big project for them to bite off. So having the city's clout where we could gather grants as far as the demolishing of the buildings, the purchasing of the buildings, that was a large part of the reason that we undertook this. Now, at first, I was a little hesitant. Does the city need to be involved in purchasing property for development? I thought this should be done by private. But if you look back, all cities, and Wisconsin Rapids in particular, I mean, we spend millions of dollars for a West Side Industrial Park, East Side Commerce Park, East Side Business Park. Those are money, taxpayer money, that are used to develop properties so that businesses can come and thrive and provide jobs for our citizens. So, thank you.
Thank you. Lee Graff.
I look at this question in two parts. One being that commerce building across and the fact that the property's acquiring land to demolish. I would have liked to have seen a plan moving forward. I know Wood County played a big role in this, whether that be Wood County would put up a building there or some sort of concrete plan in order to move forward to say, if we do this, would the county be willing to move into this area? Would the county be willing to put up a structure here? And if that's the case, then would that contract, do we need to have a contract signed before the city goes ahead and makes this investment? It's hard to not have a plan but spend taxpayers' dollars. That's one part of it. The other part of the downtown development, which I consider to be one, which would be the riverfront property, we can tell right now by the amount of water that's flowing down the river that money also is hard to spend. Do I think improvements to the community are good? Yes. Do I think certain parts of that project are good and are functional? Yes. But like I said, with the flooding of the river every year, it would be really hard for me to see that part of the downtown development move forward as well. And just to recap on the commerce building, I wish we would have had more of a distinctive plan and some sort of contract drawn up or something to make sure that we knew the reason why we were buying properties and tearing them down, not just to have more space, because I believe our business parks, whether it be on the west side or the east side, have plenty of commercial space for businesses to come in.
Thank you. Lee Tao.
Can you repeat that?
Sure. What do you feel about the downtown development plan?
The downtown development plan, I came into this towards the end part of it. And we had purchased multiple buildings in the downtown area for the redevelopment. Bringing down some of those buildings within that triangle was a good thing. Those buildings were outdated and they were an eyesore to the community. On another part of that, when we talk about the riverfront project as a downtown issue, the riverfront project, yes, we need to do something with it. Whether it's according to the plans that I believe most of us have seen. It's a good plan, but I think we could tweak it so that we don't have to worry about our annual flooding of the river. I don't think we need everything from that plan, but I think we need to do something with the riverfront to attract the younger people within the community. Not just them, but I know we have a lot of elderlies that live and walk on the side of the river that we have the bike paths on. And I think that developing the east side of it too would help that out, get people more out of their homes and be more active in the summer time. And I think we do need to do something with it. Where the funds are coming from, I don't know at this time. But if we don't do anything, there is no attraction to living in Wisconsin Rapids.
Thank you very much. We will move into our next question, which will be our last question, and we start with you, Mr. Furkey. What do you think is the biggest challenge facing the Wisconsin Rapids City Council?
I think the biggest challenge is attracting businesses to the city. And our paper industry in Wisconsin Rapids and central Wisconsin and all over the United States is struggling. That has been our major employer for 100 years. And we need, as a city, to diversify. We need to help our current businesses dealing with the cranberry industry, Mariani's and Northland and Renaissance Learning. We need to help them survive and to thrive. Also, our business park on the east side is half full. It would be nice to get some more employers there in the medical services type business, but we'll take just about anything over there that is business related. Our industrial park on the west side also has many opportunities for businesses to come in. We lost a large employer many years ago with Schreiber Cheese. That was a good employer for the city. So actively searching for businesses to locate here is something that I think falls more on Reggie and the planning and economic development portion of the city. The aldermen do take a role, but as far as going out and knocking on doors out of city, that is probably somewhat difficult to do. That is, I think, more towards what the mayor is for, and being a contact person for either existing businesses looking to expand or businesses that wishing to locate to the city is what we're looking for, and I think that's probably the main driving force of the city council and myself.
Thank you. Lee Graff.
Can you repeat the question to
Sure.
make sure I fully answer it for you?
What do you feel is the most important challenge facing the city council?
The most important, that's pretty tough, because you look at what we have in the community with the Rafters Ball organization. I think there's a lot we could rally behind with future improvements on our community parks that we currently have, redesigning, reorganizing. But as far as challenges, I brought this up in my interview with RCCA Media last week. Our paper industry in this community has been around for 100 years, but does anybody know the products in which our paper industry makes? Does anybody know the fact that we go to a grocery store and they ask us for paper or plastic? We're a paper mill-driven community, and yet we don't support our biggest supplier of jobs. So I think the biggest challenge we have in this community is not only trying to attract new jobs, but how do you attract new businesses and new jobs if we don't work with the businesses we have here to grow them? So I think our direction as a city council is to strengthen the businesses we have in this community, and it is going door to door and working with these businesses to say, what is it that you need in order for our city to be successful and your business to be successful? And if the idea of that goes through, these employers start hiring more people. These employers look to expand their business. There's a lot of added benefits if we work with the current employers that we have, which I don't know if our city council is doing enough of. I'm not saying we're not doing any of it. I'm saying I think there's room for improvement there, and I think that that's an avenue in which our city council should really be looking at moving toward. So yeah, if you go to the biggest thing I think we should work towards, strengthening our community, asking the questions of, what is it that you need as an employer? What kind of, getting different parts of the community to work together. If it's the local paper mill or if it's the local hospital, and what type of jobs are you looking for? Do we go to Mid-State Technical College and get our local college here on board with, is this enough? Are we doing enough currently to support the economic growth? These are some of the challenges I think we need to work on.
Thank you. Lee Tao.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Sure. What do you feel is the biggest challenge facing the Wisconsin Rapids City Council?
I think the biggest challenge is getting more jobs into the city, because right now we're mainly working with the cranberry, the paper industry, and I think we need to diversify that. We need more different jobs to come in. Now, as part of City Council, there's only so much that we can do, and we do try to reach out to these business owners to see if they, what we can do to help them out. It's just that it's easier said than done most of the time. And it works both ways. If they have issues, they should come. They should voice their opinions to us too, and therefore we can try to help them out in a ways that we can, the whole community can both benefit from. Going back to getting jobs here, I think one of the most important things is transportation. We have 54 that comes in, seems to be hard for it to get out. 34 comes in, yet it's still hard to get out of the other side of town because they have to come through town. Now, being on the city council, I wish that we would work towards that 54 bypass so that it makes it, transportation is a big thing in bringing businesses in attracting businesses to come into our city. And with that 54 bypass, if we could do that, I think that would bring in businesses to our town because we have a low tax rate. And we're a town where we want to help out, not to help out, but encourage other companies to come in. I know in the past we've shot down some of the businesses that want to come in, but going forward with us being on board, I think that's a new avenue for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Lee Tao. Joe Zerflu.
Well, it shouldn't come as a shock that my answer would be economic development. It's already been touched on by the other three gentlemen up here, and I agree with a lot of what they say, quite frankly. We have to try to make ourselves more attractive to business. And I think in the past, some different types of jobs that have wanted to come here have been shot down for one reason or another. When you look at Plover, how far they've come in the past decade, and I don't know if it's only because of the interstate. That interstate's been there a little bit longer than that, but we have to try to make it so they don't want to go there, they want to come here. Places for other people to come, more money in the economy means more jobs for people. And as a council, I think if you feel strongly one way or another, maybe another council member agrees, and you have to really focus on communicating better, looking more long-term, not just that maybe we'll have all kinds of trucks coming through town because one certain business wants to come in or something like that. Hopefully someday in the future, something will be done with some sort of Highway 54 bypass. I talked to a person who worked for the DOT probably 5 years ago now, and at that time he wasn't sure whatever happened to that plan. They were going to put another bridge up, as far as I understand, which would have really benefited the town. But I don't know as a council how we can try to talk the state into doing that, but basically just to reiterate what everyone else already said, just working together and really trying to be very open to business and making this community very attractive for it.
Thank you. We'll now move into concluding remarks, and Lee Tao, we will begin with you.
Thank you to viewers at home. Thank you to the League of Women Voters and the RCCA here for having us tonight. I wish and hope for your support, all those watching from home. Being on the council or going to be on the council is a challenge in itself. We try to do the best that we can. I listen to all your concerns. I know we've been having some issues within whether to have that city clerk elected or appointed. That was one of the biggest issues that I've faced in being appointed to city council. And I feel that I'm here to represent you, but I can't do that without you contacting me or letting me know what the concerns are, what the issues are. And I'm here to help you solve those issues or point you in the correct way or the correct direction to solving those issues. So I'm here asking for your support on April 5th. Thank you.
Thank you. Joe Zerflu.
Several people have asked me, why do I want to be on the city council? Why do I want to be an alderperson? Some have legitimately wanted to know, and some have just wondered to themselves why I would want the additional stress in my life. But the easy answer, of course, is public service. I mean, that's what elected officials are. They're public servants. And my entire adult life, I've been serving either the country or the community in one way or another. After high school, I went directly into the Army. After 9/11, I found out that Uncle Sam doesn't necessarily have to honor the date that he says he's going to let you go, so I did an extra year, deployed to Kosovo and Iraq during that time, came back and wanted to follow in my father's footsteps and go into law enforcement. Again, was lucky enough to be a sheriff's deputy the past 12 years or so. I have a lot of more years than that left, of course, but my main platform, if you will, is transparency. It's a big issue in law enforcement. I'm very thankful that our local law enforcement does not have some of the problems that other areas of the country do have. But local government, we see that even in the news more and more. People want government officials transparent. And by golly, they want to be able to get a hold of you if they have an important issue on their mind or they really want to give you your opinion. And you need to make yourself available. So I am going to be available, and I have my phone with me almost constantly. I can't answer it all the time, but I always return voicemails, especially if it's an issue that you really want me to get in touch with you about. So I also ask for your support on April 5th, and I am glad. Voting is a right that we should all take seriously, and I'm glad that we have competition in a position such as this. So thank you.
Thank you. Todd Furkey.
Thank you. I again am happy to be here tonight. I think I've done a good job for the city of Wisconsin Rapids and for District 2. In a district that has roughly 2,000 people, not everyone will agree unanimously on any subject. I've tried to do the best I can for the city. I wouldn't change one statement, one vote, one word of what I've done in the past for you for the last 2 years. If that is good enough for my district and the people that I serve, I would welcome your support again. If not, Lee Graff seems to be a very fine, upstanding gentleman, and I think he would also serve the city well. I do what I can do to serve everyone in my district. I answer the phone, I answer the door, I don't text or tweet again, but people call me at my shop, and I see them in social outings, different restaurants, and wherever. I enjoy being part of the process. I enjoy being a servant, and I've been a servant either in my business or at my church, being a manager in the paper mill or at my softball or volleyball, whatever. I always been a leader, and I enjoy that role. I hope I have done it in a way that is pleasing to those that I have served for and served with. And I thank the league, I thank RCCA, and I thank you here tonight that you're taking the time to listen to us, to explain our viewpoints. And I hope that everybody takes the time on April 5th to vote and enjoy your freedom. This is America, right?
Thank you, Todd Furkey. Lee Graff.
I would like to thank everybody here tonight, and the league and RCA and everybody here up. This is extremely hard to do, so let's not make it easy. It's uncomfortable being up here with these lights shining on you. But one of the things I wanted to make sure that everybody understands is what I do for a living is fix things. I'm aggressive. I work hard, and I want to work hard for you, and that's why I'd love to see you come out on April 5th and vote. I think the biggest thing is, once again, continue to vote, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much. This concludes the second portion of the League of Women Voters Candidate Forum, and we want to thank our candidates, Lee Tao and Joe Zerflu, who are candidates for District 1, Wisconsin Rapids Common Council, and to Todd Furkey and Lee Graff, who are running as well for District 2 Common Council seats. We thank you for running for office and for answering the questions tonight. Be sure you vote on April 5th. Stay tuned. Our next part of the forum will feature the candidates for Port Edward School District. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome back. The final portion of tonight's forum will include the two candidates that are on the ballot for Port Edward School Board. The three candidates that are running for two positions are Dana Duncan, Kathy McGrath, and Tracy Jo Lenz. And we are very happy to have Dana Duncan and Kathy McGrath joining us here tonight. We drew earlier for order of speaking, and we will begin with Kathy McGrath.
First of all, I'd like to thank the River Cities Community Access and the Wisconsin Rapids Area League of Women Voters for hosting the forum. I am running for a position on the Port Edward School Board because I believe in the importance of public education. After teaching in the district for 34 years and substitute teaching since my retirement, I feel this is a way that I can give back to the Port Edwards community. I feel that a school is a very important part of a community, and an excellent school makes a community strong. My whole adult life has been dedicated to education. From the time I graduated from college with a degree in elementary education and through my teaching career, and now in my retirement, I have been focused on students and helping them to learn. By being a member of the Port Edward School Board, I believe that I will be able to continue to have a positive impact on students and their learning. It would be at a different level than my teaching and subbing, where I had direct contact with students. As a school board member, my job will be to help create a strong framework that will allow teachers to help students to reach their full potential. I feel that we have a high-quality school system with interested parents, caring support staff, dedicated teachers, and supportive administration. All of these people work together to allow students a positive learning environment. It is my personal opinion that from the state and federal level, there has been way too much emphasis placed on testing and not enough emphasis placed on helping students to become lifelong learners. We need well-rounded learners and students. We need to give them the opportunity to participate in music, art, tech ed, FACE, and sports, and other extracurriculars, as well as the core educational areas. We need to instill in our students a love for learning and prepare them to be active, productive members of our society and democracy.
Thank you. Dana Duncan.
Good evening. I am Dana Duncan. I too want to thank the Wisconsin Rapids Area Community Access Channel and League of Women Voters for sponsoring this event tonight. I'm here today, and I guess I'm saying thank you to the citizens of Port Edwards. I've had an opportunity to serve on your school board for 9 years and to serve as president for the last 8. It's been a very positive experience for me, and I hope to continue to do that. I think that we have built a very good district through the years. I hope I have helped along that line. We've managed to add different programs such as business education during my tenure. We've overseen changes in the superintendent on 3 separate occasions. We've managed to hire building principals and such and maintain a quality education and really keep the school in financial solvency. We have worked very well over the last years as a board. We have very divergent opinions on certain things, but we've always been able to work together for the benefit of the children and the citizens. When I came on the board, there was not quite so much harmony among board members or previous board members and the superintendent. We had high legal fees from grievances filed by staff. The first thing we did was to reduce tensions and realize that happy employees and happy parents make for a happy community and a happy school. And I hope to be given that opportunity to continue to serve in this capacity for 3 more years. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Our first question to our Port Edwards School Board candidates, and we will start with Dana Duncan. What are your ideas to retain and attract quality teachers in Port Edwards?
That's a good question. We're making whatever efforts we can. We have a very strong program in place already where we actually allow teachers to get reimbursement for credits as for continuing education. We have mentoring programs that are available. We're constantly trying to improve and allow our staff to grow and to give promotions within the school. People who are on staff know that they can advance if they so choose, and will be given that opportunity. These are the kinds of things that are important to young teachers coming into a district to know that they're going to be taken care of. A large part of that, too, is the fact that unlike some school districts, we did not impose our employee handbook. When Act 10 was put into effect, other districts just said, this is the rules and you'll abide by them. We actually met with the teaching staff and did a combined handbook so that everyone had input and we were not just imposing rules. I think this is the kind of attitude that you present and that is attractive to candidates for positions. Thank you.
Kathy McGrath, I could repeat the question.
No, I'm fine. I feel we have a high-quality staff. We certainly want to maintain that staff. We also want to be able to attract young new teachers to the district. As Dana said, we have a lot of special programs going on in Port Edwards that I think should definitely remain, and I just think it's a great place to work. Schools are strapped now with budget constraints, and money is not always as available as it once was, but making teachers feel appreciated and appreciating that they're part of our district will be a great thing to do.
Thank you. Our next question, we'll start with Kathy McGrath. As a board member, what is your philosophy on a secure and safe school building versus a welcoming and open school building?
Secure and safe schools, we've definitely done a lot of things in Port Edwards to make them more secure and safe with changing doors at entrances, intercom speakers for letting people come in during school hours when the building is closed. I think a welcoming school is very, very important, and we are lucky that we have people in both offices at the elementary school and the junior high middle school that are friendly and are welcoming, and I think people feel welcome when they do come into the school district.
Thank you. Dana Duncan.
Yes, we've done a large amount of remodeling to maintain security in both the grade school and the high school, implemented procedures and safety procedures. We're continuing to work in regards to that in the community at large, with different techniques and tactics and training for staff as to what should happen or shouldn't happen during certain events. We tend in these situations to have a one-size-fits-all program, and the movement now in Lon Rodke, an officer in Port Edwards who is our police liaison for the school, is working with other area law enforcement to develop a program to allow this. an inviting school is a school that's safe. No one should be afraid to go to school, and no parent should be afraid to send their children to school. And so that's the key component there. Once they're there, though, a warm, friendly smile goes a long way. And I think there's no problem with that in Port Edwards. Thank you.
Thank you. Our third question, and we'll go to Dana Duncan first. Are there any Port Edwards community resources that aren't used now that you would like to incorporate in your school?
Yes, two different things. One of the board members, Leo Thomasgard, is spearheading an effort that would allow seniors to come into the school to help with reading programs and other volunteer activities. Apparently, this program is now being implemented across the state. What it would allow is seniors who live in Port Edwards would get a reduction in their property taxes in exchange for the services. So I know that that's being considered. We also looked at a program, and there was actually some consideration done. I go to the school board convention every year to look for ideas. We have the nursing home right on the edge of town, and there was a program that I would like to see considered where children go in and read stories to seniors in the nursing home, kind of a cross-mentoring situation there, kind of a grandma-grandpa type situation. So those are two things I think we could do right off the bat that would strengthen the community-school relationship.
Thank you. The question is, are there any Port Edwards community resources that aren't used that you would like to incorporate? Kathy McGrath.
I think we do use a lot of the community resources. I know when I was teaching, I had a lot of parent volunteers. I had a community reader that came in 5 days, one day each week. And I think with the morning reading program that we have at the elementary school, beginning at 7 o'clock, there's a community person that comes in to read in that. I think we're very involved with our new environmental learning center that's been used for some various community projects, the drumming that Judy Miller has been doing, and I think we've got a lot of good back and forth with the community and the school district, which is wonderful to see.
Thank you. Once again, to our viewing audience, we welcome questions for our two candidates for the Port Edwards School Board. You may phone in at 715-423-0441. Here's a question from our audience to Kathy McGrath first. Would you advocate for more charter schools in the district or programs to encourage students to enroll in Port Edwards?
Well, I think there's two different kinds of charter schools. First of all, I'm definitely not for for-profit charter schools. I think they take too much away from public education, and we need all the funding that we can have in public education. I think charter schools within the public schools are a different thing, and that might be something that could be considered at certain times.
Thank you. Dana Duncan.
Well, private schools within the district would not recommend. And as far as the charter school itself, we're a small district. A charter school I don't think would be appropriate because it would just cut further into the limited resources we're already receiving from the state. And quite frankly, I think charter schools tend to be a Gordian knot. We feel like we can't fix our regular schools, so we create some sub-school, and that's going to solve the problem. If we have problems in our schools, we should be working on the schools and not trying to create a separate school for certain kids. And so I would oppose that.
Thank you. Our next question to Dana Duncan first. Salary and benefits and insurance take up a larger part of the operating budget each year. Do you have ideas to bring those costs under control?
It's a good question, but there are caps that are placed on things. So we only have so much money that we're allowed to increase for salary and benefits each year. It's mandated as part of our district and it's part of Act 10. So we don't have that problem per se. every year get to meet with the school or with the various unions, and we tell them what money we have, and then we decide how it should be allocated among the steps based on seniority and such. We are looking, though, and are always looking at different avenues for saving money that we can use to pass on for other things. One of the biggest is health insurance. We are looking into that. We have to comply with the Affordable Health Care Act. There were a couple of our policies that would have probably met with violations of the ACA as being the quote-unquote Cadillac plans. So we are in the process of reviewing those and have hired a group to assist us in comparing and establishing what would be the best to fit our group.
Thank you. Kathy McGrath.
With limited resources that the district has, I know the school board has been very good at looking at things as carefully as they can and making sure that our staff gets the best bang for their buck that they can. And it's difficult. Insurance costs are high, and you want to pay the teachers a good salary, so I know it's very difficult, and that would be a hard thing. But I know the school board is looking at it, different options for insurance, and hopefully they'll come to an agreement on that soon.
Thank you. Okay, another question for our Port Edwards School Board candidates. Kathy McGrath first. Do you think looking into shared services with other community school districts would be a good idea?
We do have some shared services, I'm sure, right now I'm aware of. And yes, if there are services that we can share with other districts, I think that's a fine way for Port Edwards to save some money. And if it's a plausible thing to do, we can certainly do that.
Thank you. Dana Duncan.
Yes, we already contract with Nakusa for our special education director, and our technical information person, Sanat Alau, we share him with Nakusa. He's our employee, but they pay us compensation for, I believe it's a day and a half or 2 days each week. So we do share those services. The biggest thing that people seem to forget about is the fact that we're a member of CISA, or in our particular one, which is all of the schools within our region. And we draw a lot of services from there as well. We're contracting for psychological services. We're contracting for special education services. So there are a lot of shared services that are already existent. We're always looking for ways of doing better and being more cooperative with the various schools. I know that our superintendent meets on a regular basis with the other superintendents in the area and looks for common grounds. I've suggested on numerous occasions the school board presidents meet on a regular basis, but so far we haven't been able to coordinate that, but I hope that can happen if I'm allowed to continue in this capacity.
Thank you. Another question beginning with Dana Duncan. Do you agree with the current voucher program in Wisconsin? What can you do as a board member to either promote or hinder the current voucher program?
I do not support vouchers. Is that clear? Okay. To hinder, I don't believe it's my place as an elected official to necessarily hinder. I think that if we believe we have a better alternative, a better education, then we should be promoting that the best will come to the top. The cream always rises, and we should not be afraid of the challenge associated with a voucher. But the best way to end vouchers is to prove that the public schools do a better job. And to that effect, I try to do that at every meeting and make sure it's done every day in every way.
Thank you. Kathy McGrath.
I am absolutely against vouchers. Any monies taken away from public education is not a good thing. And I agree with Dana. I think we need to promote our school. We have an excellent school. And I think if we get the word out there and people actually come and see the school that we have, that will bring more people into our district.
Thank you. 2 more questions. Second to last question here, starting with Kathy McGrath. What makes you a qualified candidate for the Port Edwards School Board?
Well, it's something I never thought I'd be doing, but I guess when I was approached and asked to think about this, I thought maybe it's time that I do something different. I've taught for 34 years, I've subbed for 7 years, and maybe this is the next step for me. And I'm just hoping that I can give back to the community and make Port Edwards Public Schools the special school that they are. I've felt privileged to work there my whole career, and I just want to make sure that they remain strong and excellent.
Thank you. Dana Duncan.
Could you repeat the question?
Certainly. What makes you a qualified candidate for the Port Edwards School District?
Well, since I was a young boy, education was always emphasized in my home. My father did not have much education, nor my mother. They were blue-collar factory workers. And they just always expected that I would go to college. And I not only managed to do that, I got through law school. And I really appreciate the education that I've gotten through the years and the opportunities that have come through education. And I strive to pass that along and to help other students. One of the great privileges I have every year as being board president is to have an opportunity to address the graduating class at Port Edwards every year. And every year I give them a talk about going out for their dreams, looking to continue, and the term is autodidactic, somebody who is a lifelong learner, and to continue to pursue that. Your education does not stop necessarily at the door. So I try to bring this excitement to the board. I bring the experience as a professional to the board as well, and I hope that it's been a very positive aspect over the last 9 years. I think it has. We've been through some tumultuous periods, but have been able to weather the storm and come out on the other side very well.
Thank you. Final question. I pointed to Dana Duncan first. In the last 5 years, what is one great thing the Port Edwards School District has done and one not so great thing?
That's a good question. Well, we have done a very good job of hiring individuals over the last 5 years. We had, during my tenure, Dean Ryerson, that's probably outside the 5 years, was hired to be our interim superintendent. Pat Sullivan took over from him, and Pat did a fantastic job leading the district. Now Kyle Cronin is our superintendent. I think we've had 3 very stellar people running our district, somebody that the kids can look up to, and that do not have skeletons in their closet, which kind of can be a issue anymore around Port Edwards. So I think that's something I can take great pride in. It's always easier to think of the things that are positive than the negative. I guess the things that I'm the least proud of is having to actually implement Act 10. That was extremely difficult for me, simply because I feel that teachers do not actually get compensated for the effort and the impact that they actually have on students and on society, and then to basically be forced into a position. And Act 10 was especially difficult for Port Edwards because we had been made long-range planning on salary, compensation, and all of this. The districts that didn't benefited from Act 10 significantly. We had no advantage in Act 10, that they kept saying that we had these tools in our toolbox that we couldn't use because we had already done everything. I considered it the stupid board members get out of jail free card bill, because there were a lot of districts, especially down in southeast Wisconsin, that did not take care of their business and needed this in order to be financially solvent. Thanks.
Thank you. Kathy McGrath. In the last 5 years, what is one great thing the Port Edwards School District has done and one not so great thing?
well, we've survived. That's the first thing. I think that the Environmental Learning Center that we have built has been a real asset to the district, and I think that it's can be used even more so than it is now, but I think it's a wonderful opportunity and for children to get outside and do more with nature and have the opportunity to learn in a different environment than in the regular schoolhouse. That's one of the real positive things. Negative things, and like Dana said, it's a lot that's come down from the state, but with budget decreasing and hands being tied with the things that school districts can actually do, that has hurt Port Edwards along with many other schools in the state. Part of the problem in Port Edwards is we've had to increase some class sizes. We're still trying to keep them very low at the elementary school, but we were able to have smaller class sizes before this all went into effect. So those are some of the bad things that have happened.
Thank you. Thank you, candidates, for answering those questions, and to both audiences for supplying the questions. It's time for closing statements, and we'll start with Dana Duncan.
Thank you. Thank you again for the opportunity to speak tonight. And thank you for those of you watching at home for sitting and listening to us discuss these issues. I'm going to start using my time by just starting this by thanking the board member who's leaving and why there's an open seat right now. Sheldon Furkey is stepping down after 10 years on the board, and his service has been highly valued by the district and should be by the citizens. I'm proud of what we've accomplished. The Outdoor Learning Center was built. I served on the committee that helped design it. We dreamed big and actually accomplished most of it. But in addition, as I indicated, we've got good people running things, and I just wanted to end this by sharing some good news, and that's we got some of the initial test scores of our students. The ACT for our high school, the Port Edwards High School students had a composite of 21.1, which topped all high schools in Wood County except Marshfield. The Badger exam, the Port Edwards district had a 64.5 for students on advanced or proficiency in English language arts, and topped every district in Wood County and every district in our conference except Wild Rose. So this is the kind of thing that I'm proud of. It's not about me, and it's not about the board members. It's the fact that we're working together as a team, that we're able to do what's best for the district and for the kids, and to put them in a position where they can achieve and advance themselves. I ask for for the continued opportunity to serve you, and I ask for your vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Kathy McGrath.
Well, if I'm elected to the board, I know it will be a challenging job, but also a rewarding one. I want to carry on the fine tradition of excellence in education to continue in Port Edwards. A strong school makes a strong community. We have been fortunate to have a fine school board over the years, and I would be proud to be a member of the school board. I've dedicated my entire adult life to education, and this would be one more step on the path to help students reach their potential. Make sure you vote in April. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dana Duncan and Kathy McGrath, for your willingness to run for office and for facing the voters here tonight. Kathy and Dana will be on the ballot for Port Edwards School Board. Tracy Jo Lenz is also on the ballot. She did not appear tonight, and that is for 2 positions on the Port Edwards School Board. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for your questions tonight and for viewing. And this would not be possible without the league volunteers that put in 3 hours of work Monday and also tonight. Very much appreciated. River City's Community Access Media staff, Travis Plowman and Tom Laux, for all of their wonderful work tonight, making everything look very good. And don't forget to vote on April 5th in the general election. This forum will be rebroadcast on demand on www.rccamedia.org and our various cable channels. Thank you for listening.